The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is James Hamet. James is the founder and CEO at Vistim Labs. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you. So James, let's start with yourself, please. Could you give us a bit of an overview of your background in technology and what your journey has been like from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and take us up to today as the founder and CEO at Vistim?
It's been a very fun journey for me and full of surprises. My parents are both doctors, and my dad actually works in neurology. And one of the things that I always told him growing up was that I would never be in medicine. I was so sure that I would end up in engineering of some kind, but it's just the field that I felt the most comfortable with. It's where I had the most friends, and in college, becoming friends with the neuroscientists was not something that I intended to do, but something that just happened on its own. When I became friends with some of my peers at University of Michigan, and we started thinking about different ways to create useful technology for the brain, one scientist in particular, Dr. Ramses Al-Khaib, had this idea that we could understand what people want to do with their brain activity, and we could make their lives easier because of it. So we set out to build prosthetics and other devices that you could control with your mind. And it was a really groundbreaking experience for me. And that's sort of what led me into where I'm at today, where I'm using my knowledge in neuroscience, my practical applied knowledge, to build other systems that can look at the brain activity and figure something out about it. I've been published recently for measuring mental fatigue in people using brain signals. And my most recent company, Vistim Labs, is measuring cognitive ability.
Yeah, thank you so much for the background, and great to learn about how this is something that you've been exposed to since childhood, really, with both your parents being doctors and despite you vocalizing your desire to go into a different industry, you've landed here and it feels like you're calling. So you've touched on it there briefly, but can you take us a step back and talk to us about Vistim Labs? What is your mission? What are you trying to accomplish? And then we can talk about the combination of technology and life sciences that's behind all of this.
So initially, when I was working in the problem area of trying to help people who are paralyzed or differently abled control things in their lives, assistive technology, it was around that time that I realized a lot of these people who suffer from paralysis, they're suffering from neurological disorders that are preventable. And it's difficult to describe an Alzheimer's disease diagnosis as preventable in the modern context, but they're preventable because early intervention is effective. What's missing is early detection of disease to enable the early intervention. And so that's why I created this company called Vistim Labs. What Vistim Labs is doing is creating a neurodiagnostic that can identify, detect, and track neurological disorders as they develop. And I can dive into that if there's a follow-up question, but the purpose is to detect these disorders as early as possible so that people can get the care that they need to live symptom-free lives.
Yeah, please, let's dive straight in. It would be good to hear about the how behind it all. And I know it's quite complex, but for our audience who tune in to hear about application uses of aspects of AI, this is something that's at the core of what you're trying to do.
So, AI is very powerful, right? It's capable of creating these correlations or finding these correlations that we might not see ourselves, and it can automate them, and we can tune our models and our algorithms so that they're very accurate, which is incredible. I can't look at all of the brain data myself and make a judgment there, And of course, computer vision is one of the most sophisticated fields of AI. And so what we've done here at Vistim Labs is we've looked at how the brain works. And one of the things that there's a very large body of evidence that supports is that the visual cortex is one of the largest systems in the brain. And the visual cortex is also significantly impacted by these neurological disorders. And that's why the most classic test to diagnose someone with any of these diseases is actually to ask them to draw a clock. The problem, though, is that by the time the person can't draw a clock very well, they have significant neuron damage. So it's not a very good test to detect the problem. And so that's why with Vistim, what we've done is we show people pictures and we're able to use AI and to image the brain to identify that the person's not interpreting these pictures the way that a healthy person would. And so that's really how AI is helpful to us because we can take this very complex data, assign it labels, based on the person's diagnosis, based on their performance and cognitive assessments, and we can create algorithms that can link that brain activity to specific outcomes.
So that can have a profound effect on early diagnosis and overall treatment as a whole. And what you've talked about is the concept. I know you've already had some early success since launching the business, but what are some of the main milestones that you're working towards, and what type of growth do you need from the AI data engineering team in order to get it to the point where you have this at mass use?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So at the moment, I would say we really need more data. It's the challenge of most AI and machine learning teams. The data is king. And in our case in particular, I can call out some of our limitations. We've really only studied people who are 65 years and older. So if this technology is going to be used in the clinic, in the private doctor's office, then we need to make sure that we have a very wide variety of healthy participants. Our machine learning is trained with data on healthy people, but again, they're elderly patients, so 65 and up. If we have someone who's 40 years old and they're concerned that they might have a neurological disorder, we want to make sure that this is useful to them too. Enough data means that we can generalize well and that anyone can use the product.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Talk to us then about the team that you have currently behind this, because for people hearing about use cases of AI, it's more than just AI. There's data science, there's data engineering, there's analytics, and then there's the overall biotechnology. Can you give us a look behind the scenes of Vistim Labs now, and then talk to us about what it's going to look like 12 months from now?
So right now, Vistim Labs is a startup. So we have postdocs and researchers at different universities around the world who are generous with their time and believers in our cause. We consider them team members. I certainly do. And they are able to look at our data and they're able to provide feedback. They're able to work on our algorithms. And the team really breaks down into two different categories of work, one of them being scientific in nature. And the scientific team is the one that's working on, I guess, guiding feature engineering and feature extraction. And then we have a machine learning team, individuals again around the world who are able to basically design those tools that extract those features and turn them into models, turn them into models that perform according to the labels that are of interest to us, like those cognitive assessments that I mentioned before. So that's really how our team, I guess, breaks down. We've tried using convolutional neural nets and other models of that kind. We've tried unsupervised as well. And with the amount of data that we have, which is only a little over 100 patients, it's very difficult to do those types of modeling solutions. So that's one of the reasons that we're very scientifically driven. We need to know almost in advance which features to expect to find in order to find them. Now, what Vistim will look like 12 months from now was another part of the question. We are actively growing our team. We are looking to bring in some full-time employees, some full-time machine learning engineers, and full-time data scientists. Our team should look like 3 to 4 new members of that team in the next 12 months.
So speaking to that audience, future employees, data scientists, data engineers, machine learning engineers, obviously it's an incredibly competitive space for talent for those positions, with a lot of cool companies out there really pitching amazing products. But at Vistim Labs, you guys are really and truly working on something revolutionary. If you were speaking to candidates who from a background had the right combination of skills and industry knowledge, What are some of the things you would tell them about the work and the potential impact at Vistim that would get them to join you guys over some of the other great opportunities available to them?
A couple things that I'll say is computer vision problems are the most studied in AI. And it's very rare that you get to use those computer vision solutions. There's very little that we know about the brain, and a lot of the projects in our space fail. They are not able to show consistent, robust, reliable results. And that's not the case with us. We are able to do that. And so if you are interested in looking at really what is coming out of our brain, our most sophisticated organ, and using tools that you know very well, then it's certainly a very fun challenge to be part of Vistim and to advance our technology. And one of the reasons that you might want to be part of that team and to advance this technology is because of how game-changing this really is. We're not talking about a simple product that makes someone's life easier. We're talking about being able to completely prevent someone from becoming paralyzed or losing their memory. It's definitely a little further away because part of our strategy is to work with the therapeutic companies. We must work together in order to provide the most effective intervention. But this is the rate limiting factor. Many big pharma have tried to solve the problem of Alzheimer's specifically and have failed. And it's because of timing. We just can't get these therapies into people when they really need them most. And we can't study the effect of the therapy on the person's brain. And that's really where Vistim can come into play because we can identify the first signs of disease. We can show how the disease is changing, how the drug is modifying the disease, and we can actually, by working together, prevent people from suffering from something like Alzheimer's disease. It is truly game-changing.
James, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us. The work you're doing at Vistim Labs really sounds quite revolutionary and the potential impact is massive. So I'm sure everyone listening is rooting for you and the team to accomplish all of the goals as quick as possible. And for data scientists and machine learning engineers, it really sounds like a place where you could go and have a profound impact, which I know is a primary motivator for a lot of people in this field. So thank you so much for coming on today and good luck with everything in the months and years to come.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.